I have been on the other side. I have touched another dimension. Part of me is still there.
Help him.
I'm Dr. Mannheim. I like space.
Ooh,
And
space, I
dimensions.
love it.
I like dimensions.
I can just imagine him being like, okay, you stay here. You stay here. I'll be right back. It's okay.
You're like, you'll be fine. There's coffee in the corner. Then maybe a little bed over here. There's some straw when you have to go number 1 or number 2.
Hi, and welcome to Nerdiest Prime, where we're reviewing. Hi, and welcome to Nerdiest Prime, where we are reviewing every episode of Star Trek: The Next Generation. We are on where, well, we'll always have Paris. And
Oh man, you are off your game tonight.
And I'm joined once again by the Nerdiest Prime crew, Alan in Halifax.
Yo.
Namir in Toronto.
Why are we doing the introductions with the cities again? We stopped doing that like 3 years ago.
I know. We're like on like episode 24 or something.
And we're joined by Chiara in Montreal. And I'm Lucas. I'm in Montreal.
Summary: Star Trek: The Next Generation will always have Paris. Lieutenant Yar's murdered body is still warm when the Enterprise decides to go on shore leave. Don't worry, Tasha would have wanted it this way. Meanwhile, Captain Picard is playing Errol Flynn with some unknown lieutenant. Let's call him Fred. When they experience a glitch in time. Picard's on the bridge to see what's up, but he doesn't change his gross LARPing clothes and just whips around his special red officer's towel, spraying French sweat on all the consoles. The crew cancels their vacation plans after they get a distress call from Dr. Mannheim, time scientist extraordinaire. It brings up some uncomfortable memories for Picard, and Troy tells him to use the holodeck for what it's best at, reliving past trauma. Ah, Paris, city of love, cliché backdrops and Frenchmen with English accents. He bores some millennial and a waiter, telling them about a girl he dumped like a hot baguette. Riker's upgraded the time loop to a time hiccup, and finally we get to the planet, and uh-oh, that voice sounds familiar. It's Michelle Phillips from the Mamas and the Papas. Also that girl Picard dumped. They beam her and Dr. Mannheim up to sickbay, and Picard and Michelle make goo-goo eyes as her husband dies in sickbay. Turns out that whatever Mannheim did is causing the time farts across the galaxy. Riker leads an away team to the lab, and after a dicey transport, oh no, where is Worf? Oh, there he is. They're back on the ship. Mannheim wakes up, remembers he's married to a 60s music icon, and goes time crazy. The crew learns that they have to fix a major science oopsie, shutting off Mannheim's experiment, and Data explains the stakes. Yada yada, all of reality is doomed. Picard and Michelle keep going with the B-plot, and Crusher and Troy have a heart-to-heart about her feelings for Picard. Picard asks Data to beam to the planet alone since he's dispensable and no one loves him, but mainly because Data can dodge lasers like a Russian acrobat. He finds some weird abstract art that's probably an NFT now and ends up with what he's always wanted. Friends. Ah. He immediately annihilates them because who needs friends anyway, by dumping antimatter into Mannheim's experiment, closing the time thingy and saving the day. Yay! Mannheim is back to normal and pumped to run some more cataclysmic time experiments. Also, he saw some creatures when he was in the other dimension. That's weird, right? The episode ends by Picard inviting Michelle to the holodeck to dump her again. Ah, Paris, home of cliché French waiters, B-plots, and closure. They have a nice moment. Michelle can't figure out how to leave, and Picard once again saves the day by activating the door. With the time crisis over, everyone is excited to finally get to that shore leave. Ah, shore leave, home of drunken Starfleet officers, ancient relics, and Troy's favorite hangout, sexy alien strip joints.
Okay, what do we think of this episode? Let's start with Alan.
Oh, me? Oh. It's an episode. It's not great. It's not bad. It's just there. I like the science fiction plot of this. I almost wish I did a little more with that because it's nice to get some backstory for Captain Picard, but it's pretty dry. The love triangle, or I guess if you want to call it love triangles, doesn't have much chemistry. So it's kind of yeah, it's kind of boring. I don't know, for lack of a better word.
Okay. Chiara, what do you think? What are your first impressions about this episode?
It was an episode. It had a beginning, a middle, and an end. And not too much was going on. In my opinion, it's a big old nothing burger. And undercooked.
Okay, Namir.
Wow, I don't know what to say. I feel like I was going to be like, yeah, it's okay, but now I have to defend the other side because you guys clearly despise it. I didn't hate it that much.
Despise it. It's just,
It's not good.
I don't know.
It's
like it's a nothing burger, and you're like, I think I watched it. I have no idea. I was barely awake.
I was scrolling on my phone. What's on Instagram? Yeah.
I didn't mind this so much actually. Like it had its moments. It had its peaks and valleys. There's some parts of it that were fun and interesting. Other parts just like okay, But a lot of these episodes are like that, right? So it's all in all, it just kind of like a pretty good episode. It's like okay, okay to pretty good, I would say. There's no conspiracy, but not. There's only a few episodes that are like conspiracy.
Well, I love this episode. It's one of my favorite episodes of season 1. It's almost my favorite episode of season 1. It's kind of got everything. It's got this really cool science fiction gimmick. It's got like a time loop thing, which is the first time we have time loops in Star Trek: The Next Generation. And it's got this great backstory for Captain Picard, and you get to see for the first time his softer side, and there's this romance, and we get to go into holodeck and see Paris and speak French, and so I always love this episode, and I always enjoy watching it. And there's something I think I always like Star Trek episodes that have some sort of mystery, and it's not really delved into that much, but there's this sort of idea of like punching a hole into another dimension and all that sort of stuff. So that's what I liked about this episode. I'm going to bring up my notes. So what do we think about the plot / premise / story? Although those are 3 different things.
Sorry, can you remind us the difference between those 2 different things again? You love to remind us that
they're all different things.
Definition.
Well, the plot is the thing that is the sequence of events that happened, and like the plot is that there's a scientist, and there's a hole in another dimension, and it's causing these time loops, and they have to go and patch the holes in the time-space continuum. And the story is about Picard having to face like his past and the life he's chosen, which is to be a captain, and how he had to very insensitively leave this woman behind in some cafe in Paris because he was too chicken shit to confront, to break up with her, and just went to space. And I guess that's it. Yeah. I mean,
but you said, what's the third thing? You said 3 things.
Well, that's the premise, and but the premise is a lot like the plot. It's like it's this idea that they have to patch the hole. So,
did you even go to film school?
I went to film college.
They mailed him a diploma.
It was on a napkin.
I've never heard of Paul Mannheim.
Mr. Data.
A highly respected scientist, considered a visionary, he advanced several time-related theories. One regarding the relationships between time and gravity was quite intriguing, but neither that theory nor any other received wide acceptance.
Okay, well, let's start with Chiara this time. What did you think of the story?
I think my main issue with it was just it felt, like I said, like undercooked, underbaked. They didn't really develop the plot too much, or the story, or whatever word you prefer. And I just felt like tonally it didn't work, because we're having this like time crisis, but everyone's just like, "Ooh, doo, 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 doo," just going on my day like nothing bad is happening, and there was no tension. And then we have, on the flip side, this kind of more emotional drama that felt very soap opera to me. And but bad soap opera, because it was just, two people who were seemingly together at one point, and then one person left, and there's like some unresolved feelings between them, but I feel like they never really worked it out. There was no resolution there, in my opinion. And yeah, just there was one action scene that kind of woke me up, which was
Exactly.
nice. And then it just kind of fizzled out. It just was very mid, as they say, the whole time.
Mid-range.
Mid-range.
Namir, what do you think of the plot?
Yeah, the plot. That's a good question. I liked it. I mean, I always like time travel-y type things, even though this really kind of it was, but it really wasn't. Like I feel like they didn't really kind of take advantage of the whole time loop thing, but they were kind of experimenting a bit. So it wasn't really about that. Like it wasn't really about like they didn't do anything with causality or any of that stuff. I mean, the one thing that I thought was really just like a fun moment was when they meet themselves in the
Yeah.
elevator, right? Like they're going
Turbo
up the
lift.
elevator. But
Who calls it an elevator? Jesus.
For the people that don't watch Star Trek, you can see a turbo lift. You're like, they don't know what it means. The turbo lift. Anyway, so
Who's watching this who doesn't know what a turbo lift is? Anyway, just carry on.
so they're in the turbo lift / elevator, and they it opens up, and then they see them in the hallway, but it doesn't stick with the original trio. Like it's, I don't know, it's Data, Riker, and Picard, right? They do this really cool thing where they actually just switch over. They switch over to the Data, Riker, and Picard that's in the hallway, and then you're just following them, right? So as
Okay, hold on. It's not a hallway. It's a corridor.
holy Christ.
God.
I'm just kidding. Okay, go on.
Oh. It's not a starship, it's a space shuttle.
It's a plastic model.
That's true. Yeah. Anyway, I liked it. I really liked it. That was great.
Okay, Alan, what do you think of the
What
story?
am I doing? What am I
plot?
talking about? Oh,
Story plot. What did you
keep
think?
making fun of people. Yeah, again, I was more interested in the science fiction aspect of it. I thought that was interesting, and I would have liked to see more of that. I know they're just trying to bring some character development to Picard, but all that stuff fell flat for me. Yeah, I was kind of nodding off. I mean, Michelle Phillips and Patrick Stewart had no chemistry. It was like two inert substances. It was just terrible, and and it just seemed a little contrived that this these people all meet up at this point. Like just Picard just happens to be in the neighborhood of his unrequited love or whatever, and I don't know, it just didn't work for me. But yeah, like you say, there was some fun scenes with Data, diving and rolling and shooting security security devices and that triple Data scene. That's all fun. I like the fun science fiction gimmick stuff, but yeah, the character stuff. I will say for season 1, the character stuff was better acted and written than it typically is. but it still didn't hold my interest. So, I'll give that bit of credit, but that's it.
I mean, for me, in terms of the story or the plot, is that I think together with the music, they're able, and what they talk about, they're able to really have a sense of of foreboding and a real danger that these time loops are just going to amplify and basically rip apart the universe.
Yeah, I didn't get that. I didn't get
I
that.
didn't get that at all. I don't think they really even talked about it or implied that.
There was no sense of universe, destroying stakes here.
Well, they said, if I remember correctly, they said something about Mannheim was really agitated, and he was like, "This is really bad. It's like you got to plug the hole right now because it's just going to keep amplifying." And you kind of get a sense of that because the first time you get the time loop, it's a little one, and then the second one is a bit bigger, and then so what it kind of is implying is they're just going to get worse and worse and worse, and they're going to and they're kind of implying also that they're getting further away. At least that's the sense I got, is that at first it's like there's they're like ripples going through, so that it's like this, but then it's expanding outwards, and they're just getting worse.
Yeah, but they don't really sell
give
the
a sense of danger. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
They don't really talk about that. And I think
it's all in the music.
No, see, that's
the
the
music's
thing.
not very good either.
I took note of the music, and to me, it just felt like music more suited to a thriller or mystery situation, and not so much, oh no, there's a time, what did I write? A time anomaly going on that's going to possibly destroy the world or something, something catastrophic, but we have these little string going on, and it just didn't match the tone to me at all. And plus the acting, like I said, everyone was just kind of going about their day normally. Nobody was really panicking, and these time anomalies weren't really creating any chaos upon the ship apart. That was strange. Weird.
That was a minor inconvenience. It's like, I just took I took the same bite of dinner as I did 2 seconds ago. Oh, and I was like, I had a little bit of deja vu. Well, it's like, who cares?
But that brings a good question, because what happens is there's a time loop, but people are aware of the time loop. So if you took a bite and then you took another bite, do you now have 2 bites inside of you, or did it go back and then go forward again?
Well, that was actually my one criticism. I mean, my major one is that they shouldn't have known that they were in a time loop, right? Like, how did that happen, right? Because they go back in time, but for them it shouldn't have made a difference because they get just pulled back. Like, they could be in time loops all the time in the show, right? But it doesn't make a difference, right? We could be in time loops right now, but we just aren't aware of it.
Yeah.
We could be in time loops right now, but we just aren't aware of it.
Yeah. Well, they did it much better later on with cause and effect.
Yeah, that's true, which is probably one of the best episodes of Star Trek ever. But they didn't do that here, right? It was really just a feeling of deja vu. So I wish they had explained that a little bit more, and maybe they could have, used the dimensions as a way to do it, right? Like, maybe it's not a time loop. Maybe they, hop into another dimension, right? And that dimension is a little bit behind or something, right? So a little bit more thought kind of should have probably gone into it, to make it make sense. But, at the end of the day, it's a TV show, right? It's like a sci-fi TV show. It's not going to be, they're warping time to go through space, right? It's it doesn't have to always make sense.
I disagree. It always has to make sense to me. But
what, are you kidding?
Okay. So
how do you like this episode? I don't understand.
Interesting move, sir. What technique was that?
The technique of a desperate man.
Interesting move, sir. What technique was that?
The technique of a desperate man.
Captain, what was that?
Let's talk about the first scene, because Namir, you commented on the first scene in the summary you wrote. So I just want to get your thoughts about just that first scene, and It's him and some guy.
Lieutenant
sword
Dean
fighting.
is his name.
Oh, you looked it up. I was gonna.
He has a name. Yeah.
I was hoping you were just gonna call him Fred.
No. He actually has a name. Maybe it's Fred Dean. Who knows?
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, but he has a name. He never appears in any other episode ever again. And they're fencing.
Well, that's not true. He was in. He doesn't appear. The character doesn't appear, but the actor shows up in Voyager, as a, rubber face alien.
Yeah.
It seems weird he's not fencing somebody like from the cast. Like he's just some random that you never meet before.
Honestly, it feels weird that he's fencing anybody at all, right? Like,
well, I appreciate the fact that they gave him a hobby, because right now, like, Picard has nothing going for him this whole season, really. Other than he doesn't like kids. That's basically the character development that he got. And now he's a fencer, and it's like okay, and then he becomes a horseback rider, and he gets other hobbies as we go along.
I know, but if you're Lieutenant Dean. If you're Lieutenant Dean, are you going to want to fence your boss? What if you stab him accidentally? Like, it's like not a good position to be in. You're obviously going to just let him win.
Fair, you can't like stab people with a fencing sword. They're wearing
no.
outfit.
It's like an armor, yeah.
Yeah.
I've heard some stories.
All the time. They're not dying.
But also, it's like really, it's not that you're gonna pierce his skin as much as you're going to bruise his ego if you keep winning.
Yeah, but no, you can hit somebody in fencing. My daughter's in fencing. They talk about that all the time.
Mm.
They have a doctor.
So, I didn't realize your daughter's like Captain Picard. Is he also horseback riding? Is also?
Yeah, she likes anything that has to do with medieval
Captain Picard
war. Yeah, medieval fighting of some kind. Yeah, exactly. She loves like Greek mythology where everybody dies, and that's her favorite part.
All right. So, but okay, I love the fencing scene, and it's not only because they give Picard a hobby, but it's sort of I like that they start at this point in the show introducing just activities that the crew are doing, and you get to once you get to season 3. Well, later in season 2 you have the poker, and then in season 3 you start having concerts on 10 Forward and people painting, and there's there's this one, I can't remember what episode it was in season 3 where Picard takes up painting and he goes to Data like, hey, what do you think? And Data's like, But,
you really get the sense that nobody actually does any work on that ship. They're either like doing a hobby, or they're like going on shore leave, or some R&R. They're relaxing on some planet.
Yeah, they were on their way to shore leave in this show.
Yeah, exactly.
Captain, excuse me.
Yes, what is it, Counselor?
I think you would prefer to discuss this in private.
No, that's not necessary. Go on.
When Professor Mannheim's name was mentioned, you reacted with intense emotion.
Yes, please get to the point.
Okay, let's talk about there's that scene on the bridge where which I always thought it was kind of funny, where Troy can sense that Picard is having some sort of reaction to the distress call. And she's like, Captain, can I talk to you for a second? He's like, yeah, what do you want? It's like, maybe you want to take it over there? It's like, no, it's fine. Talk over right here. And then she's like, ooh. And they just start talking about his feelings and all that stuff right in front of everybody on the bridge. And I'm just like...
And everybody else is trying not to listen.
Yeah, exactly.
It was kind of awkward.
Yeah, and then she's like, you should go to the holodeck, because that's what we do. Which is a little bit like what she told him to do in The Big Goodbye. Because he was all stressed for that Haradin job interview. And then he went, I was like, I'm going to go relax on the holodeck. And then this is like, he's like, oh, I got 2 hours. What should I do? I should go relive my past.
It was many years ago. I had a rendezvous. I was to meet someone. Here, at that very table. You, however, did not.
So what do we think of the Café des Artistes in the Paris and all that sort of stuff? Let's talk in that scene. Let's get Chiara. Let's get your thoughts.
I find it interesting that the holodeck can recreate specifically the people who were present on this specific day that Picard requests. I find that's just odd to me, but it's just an odd thing to do in my opinion. Just like, okay, like I got a distress call from this person that I used to know, and I guess he knows that his ex-girlfriend is married to this person at that point, and he's like, I chickened out and never properly broke up with her, just ran away. I should go relive that. I don't know what the motivation there is exactly. Like, make himself feel better, or like make himself feel worse, and just think about why he did what he did. But then he starts talking to her and just kind of like explaining his reasoning, and then he gets all upset and he's like, enough of this, and storms out. I just think
he's not talking to her though. He's talking to some fictitious person called
Is
Gabrielle.
that not supposed to be her?
No, it's Gabrielle.
That's what I found was weird. It was weird that the holodeck recreated, like, basically what's the wording in video games where it's like the character is not actually,
an NPC?
NPC, yeah, non-playing character or whatever. And it's like she has the same basic problem that Janice would have had, being stood up at the cafe, and then he's like, "Oh, it seems like you're like the lady I'm thinking about, and yeah, maybe you chickened out like I did."
I thought about this, and I have a theory, and my theory is he comes in and talks to Edouard, the waiter, and in the conversation with Edouard, Edouard's trying to figure out what's going on, and he's like, "Oh, you stood her up, and so I'm thinking the computer's listening to the whole time, and then takes that information and infuses it into one of those characters that were already just sitting there. And then so when he sits down, then it kind of adapts to what his situation is. It's like
he's reading his mind. The holodeck had kind of loosey-goosey rules in the first season anyway.
He was talking to a holodeck character, and he explained what, like, basically you can infer the situation.
So you're thinking the computer was creating her as he was talking to the waiter about?
Exactly. That's my theory.
It's kind of creepy. It's kind of like you're talking about buying a car, and then Facebook shows you all sorts of car dealership ads. Yeah,
exactly. It's already happening.
A little creepy. I enjoyed the musician. Did anyone enjoy the musician and his little?
Yeah.
Like he's making this Parisian music, but it's like just like rubbing.
I love that.
This is the most awkward-looking musical instrument I've ever seen.
And I like that it's supposed to be like a 24th century accordion.
Yeah.
Why do you have to read the accordion? The accordion's fine.
Yeah, you could have just had an accordion. I don't know why you couldn't just spin an accordion.
Yeah, or like a plastic neon accordion. Like, it's still an accordion, but it's like a space accordion.
Yeah.
Just put some lights on it.
Yeah.
They couldn't find anyone to play the accordion. It was too expensive, so they just got tubes instead.
Yeah, just glued.
And I just love how you could tell the actor really like worked on it. He was like, "I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this."
Yeah.
Right. He's like, "What's my motivation?" They're like, "You like playing the accordion." He's like, "Okay."
So Namir, do you have any thoughts about this scene?
Yeah, I mean, I did like the scene actually, because I like when they explore things within the holodeck. I think it's a really interesting idea, especially psychologically. Like imagine being able to go back into your memories and relive all the past like awkward mistakes that you made, right? Like,
why would you do
it sounds
that?
great.
Why would you do that to yourself?
It sounds amazing. Yeah. But I can see them, because they're in the future, right? So they do things differently. And so I think this is one of the things that they do differently. Like they're okay with confronting their past and sort of exploring it, and getting the holodeck to do that. I feel like it's part of how they deal with their stress and their trauma and all that. Like I think yeah, it's therapy, right? Exactly, it's therapy. Like instead of a couch, they've got the holodeck, right? So it's I always thought it was an interesting idea. Um, and to me, that's kind of what the holodeck is there for, right? It's for them to relieve stress, because I don't know why. I mean, they're doing also like they're painting, they're playing music, so I don't know why they need the holodeck, but it's there for that reason. So this is one of the ways to do it. So I actually liked it. I thought it was a little bit creepy that he was trying to pick up this holodeck girl while he was in there, but I don't know. C'est la vie, right?
Oh, that's French.
I know she kind of calls him out.
I know.
She's like, "What are you looking at me for?"
Yeah. He's like, let me tell you a story.
Oh, and let me get you. I want to show you something. So I have this book, and I just saw this. It was this is a book I got from Alan actually, and there's this the menu in the Café des Artistes is in here, and okay, I need my glasses. Okay, so the menu is croissant de lithium, tribbles dans des blanquettes, tar Klingon à la mode. I don't know this one. Chevaux avec sauce brun.
That's horse, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know if it means horse or it means hair. Yeah, but the cheval is the singular and chevaux is the plural. Jean Cougar Mellencamp.
What?
And this
That's
one
is from the future.
and it's described le flanc de
Jean Cougar Mellencamp, I believe. Probably.
Yeah. Le flanc d'un cougar capture par 10 aquanautes avec café fraîche. It's like the worst French.
What?
Yeah, servi dans les fleurs violettes.
In this show.
Okay, so but the best part is the small print at the bottom. The small print is le management réserve le droit de expulser les personnes qui ne comprennent pas le menu. Si vous require le prix, vous ne fordez pas à manger dans cet restaurant.
They reserve the right to refuse people who can't read the menu?
No, no, but if you ask for the price, you can't afford to work at say, ne pas de chemise, ne pas de service. 50 millions français n'est pas wrong. There we go.
Wait, what was the last one? No clothes, no service, and then what's the last one?
50 million Frenchmen can't be wrong.
It's like the little in-jokes that they put are better than the actual episode.
Yeah, really.
So he's holding that menu, and so that's all written on that, but you can't read it even in HD. But because it was reprinted in this book, then you can read it. You can take your time to read it. I just wanted to point out, because I did a little research, that Gabrielle is played by an actress called Isabella Garcia Lorca, but her actual name is Isabelle Brousseau, and she's from Montreal.
I looked it up too because I was wondering how many of these actors and actresses were actually French. Because I thought that the accent sounded a little off, which is funny because the waiter was actually the only guy who was French first language, and I actually thought his accent sounded kind of phony.
Yeah, and I thought his French always sounded a little phony as well. But maybe. I was like, oh, he's French.
They should have just had everybody speak with an English accent. Just keep it consistent.
Yeah.
Well, the worst French accent is not Gabrielle, but her friend. It's like she's doing like a Pepe Le Pew or something. She's like, "You're embarrassing yourself." Like it's even worse than that. And I will not be here with you.
That sounded pretty good to me. I don't know what you're talking about.
Thank you. That's like Captain Picard in season 1 of Star Trek Picard when he does that really. Bad,
yeah.
That was so bad.
That cosplay thing, yeah. Oof.
Appropriately sinister. For the past decade, Mannheim has turned some vague theories into a practical application.
Yes, but without his help, I'm not sure we'll be able to pose any intelligent questions, let alone come up with any solutions.
Incidentally, Captain, the effects of the time distortions are now being felt in the Illicom system.
It's us before we step into the turbolift.
Let's talk about the time fart. So, so there's that scene where Riker says that it's like a time hiccup, and then Data corrects him. He's like, well, actually, and he describes what a hiccup is. He's like, what actually, the bodily function that would be most analogous to what we see would be, and then Picard cuts him off, and I'm like, see, what was it gonna be? Was it gonna be a time fart?
Yeah, that's exactly what it was going to be.
Yeah.
It's like Star Trek's probably one and only fart joke. Oh, I'm probably wrong. There's probably lots of them. No?
I don't know. That's a good question. That's a good trivia question. How many
Yeah.
fart jokes? But that was a fart
Could have
joke.
been a burp. He might be talking about like a burp. Burp is pretty good hiccup.
It is, but he was clearly talking about a time tooth.
Did you have any guesses about what you think it was, Chiara?
When I the first thing that I was thinking when I was watching it today was sneeze, but I don't think that works. But that was where my mind went for whatever reason.
Oh, time sneeze, yeah.
Time sneeze. It's got a cold.
The universe has a cold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was funny because I realized that now I'm talking about Star Wars, that Star Wars, there actually is a fart in Star Wars, and when that happened, I was like, do you guys remember the Star Wars fart?
In episode
1. I just watched episode 1 today with the kids.
Oh, there you go. So you saw it. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, Jar Jar's like, whoa.
Yeah.
And it's like,
So
at least I don't think we've gone there with Star Trek. I hope. If it was, it would be totally in Discovery, I think, at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. 100% is Discovery. It's definitely in there.
I don't think there were, but anyway.
Hello.
I should have known. Who else would have charged to my rescue?
So Michelle Phillips shows up in the episode. This is like a thing I read also, that apparently after she finished this episode, so Michelle Phillips, she was in the Mamas and Papas, in case anybody watching this video does not know.
Mm-hmm.
And every time I see her, I think, all the leaves are brown. And I just want to sing that all day. and so apparently what she, as a joke / thank you or whatever, she sent her the panties that she wore on the day to Patrick Stewart as a gift, and then he nailed them to the door of his trailer, and they stayed there the whole run of the series.
Oh my god!
I've never heard that.
Wow, it's a different time.
For real?
It's a different time.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's just bizarre.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that is bizarre. Yeah, I think she's great in the role.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she's believable. I mean, I kind of get what you guys are saying about the chemistry, but it kind of like works for me. Like, to me, it's like they're not in love now; they were in love like 22 years ago. So, to me, it's okay that that feels like there's some sort of distance, and I love those scenes where Captain Picard is like being vulnerable and laughing and like explaining why he never went to see her at the cafe and all that kind of stuff. So
I feel like it could have used some more drama. Like she didn't really have any resentment towards him or anything. Like it was just kind of like, oh yeah, I'm fine with it. It's cool. Yeah, I moved on and it was fine. And he's like, oh,
it was 22 years ago. She's like,
I think it would be worse if there was still resentment, though. It was like, move on. You're married. You're doing your own thing. Like, get over it at this point.
Yeah, I agree. Like, I think it would have felt odd, and I don't, like then it kind of feels like, oh, they're manufacturing drama because they think they need it in the show to make it interesting. But
do.
I
They do.
I didn't think so. I mean, I like that, right? Because it wasn't a it felt like a big part of the episode, but it really kind of wasn't. You know, like it just was an important part of the episode for Picard. They had a couple of scenes, and that was interesting to kind of learn a little bit about him because at that point you're like he's not like Lucas was saying, he's not vulnerable. You don't have a sense of who he was like as a younger person, but this kind of gives you that window, and I think it was there. The only thing that I found strange was that she seemed pretty unconcerned with Mannheim. Like she didn't seem, Mannheim's on the table
It sounded like
dying
she wanted to
in
leave
sick
him, but
bay.
she couldn't.
I
Yeah,
know.
I think that's what
Like
happened.
just stuck on an asteroid with him.
Yeah, like Crusher's like, I think he's gonna die. And she's like, it's probably okay. I'm gonna go talk to Picard for a while and rehash some old stuff. Like that to me was a little bit and then she goes back with him at the end. So obviously there's still some, like some love there or a connection there.
Things will be
Um,
different now. I swear. Come on.
It's going to be exactly the same, literally, because they're going to get stuck in another loop.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, what do you think, Chiara? Do you, like, in terms of like her performance and like, do you think that she cares about Mannheim?
Oh, I thought her performance was good. I mean, I didn't find that there was like chemistry or so sometimes in other shows, you have like these two characters that haven't seen each other in a long time, but they had relationship, and then they see each other, and there's still like a little bit of spark there. There wasn't any of that, but I didn't think that was necessarily a poor performance thing. I think it might have just been like the direction that they wanted to take. They didn't want each other to be like flirting, because like that's not really Captain Picard's style from what we've seen so far. In terms of her relationship with Mannheim, I don't know. Like I agree with Namir here. She's just like not super concerned, and I feel like she wants to kind of do her own thing because she doesn't want to go back to the asteroid, and she's complaining like, oh yeah, like he got so concerned that he would always like lock me away, and I'm like, that doesn't sound like a great healthy relationship to me. But I don't know.
It felt weird. It felt weird at the end that she just willingly went back.
Yeah.
He was like, "Oh no,
Mhm.
we got to continue on the project. We're so close to breakthroughs or whatever." He's going on about. And then she's like, "Okay, yeah, sure, let's go back." And I'm like,
Well,
is this the life you hate it?"
Well, it's interesting that this actually never occurred to me just until now, and I was going to bring this up later, that, of course, the name of the episode comes from Casablanca. And in Casablanca, Humphrey Bogart falls in love with Ingrid Bergman. And they were lovers in Paris way back when. And now in the present, they're in Casablanca, and she comes back into his life, very much like in this episode. But I just realized that the end of this episode is like the end of Casablanca, because even though, well, at least in Casablanca, they're very much still in love, she decides to go with her husband to Lisbon and leave Humphrey Bogart behind. And that's basically what happens in this episode, where even though she doesn't want to get back together with Captain Picard, she decides to, even though it's not really what she wants to do, she's like, I'm taking one for the team, and I'm going to...
But it's so much more impactful in Casablanca, because in this episode, I feel, obviously shorter time frame. I mean, can't expect like full-blown romance to develop or anything, but I just felt that it wasn't explained to the audience well enough, like where they were in their relationship, how they felt about each other. It was just kind of left up in the air, a little bit wishy-washy. And then, like I said before, like it just kind of fizzled out, and then everybody moves on with their day. And it's, nothing really changed. Nothing really learned anything, in my opinion.
Well, when in my research also, I found out that in an earlier draft, they were supposed to sleep together.
Oh, like, my God.
On the commercial break, and Patrick Stewart nixed that. He's like, nope.
That's probably a good choice. I think that just taking it a little too far.
Well, I think they were trying to, like, as you say,
Spice it up.
create more drama or something.
Mhm.
What did you say? Would you say, Alan?
Oh, they're just trying to spice it up a bit.
Yeah, spice it up, exactly. Yeah. But my favorite part of that whole thing is actually, and I didn't notice that this part of the episode until much later, like until I was much older, was Crusher's reaction. And it's like bringing in Crusher again, and that the sort of like under the surface kind of romance she has going on with Picard. And I love that they had that going on in the first season, and you don't really see it that much later on. But I love the scene where Troy comes in and she's like, "Oh, how's Dr. Mannheim?" And Crusher's like, "That's not why you're here." And he's like, "Yeah, well, I just want to see how you're doing." It's like, I don't know if I want to talk about whatever you want to talk about. And it's like you see like Crusher's all like really worked up, and I'm like, whoa, she's got like, what's going on? There's some real feelings going on there, and I just like that. Do you guys have any thoughts about the Crusher end of the triangle?
Well, I felt like Deanna was, Crusher had one point said, like, I can't compete with the ghost of his past. And Deanna was like, well, it's not a ghost. She's here now. Almost telling Beverly, like, do something, like what are you going to do about it? But again, nothing happens. There's no, like, Beverly doesn't say anything or really do anything about it, But I thought it was a good scene, even though maybe Deanna's, being nosy, wants the hot goss.
She's being a little nosy for sure. But it's kind of like, I'm glad that you said that, Chiara, because I wasn't really sure, like, at the end of the scene what she was really saying, like when she said, "Oh, well, she's here now." Like, but I guess if what your interpretation is that she's saying like, "Oh, you can't compete with a ghost, but you can compete with the real person." But Crusher says like, "Well, he doesn't see the real person; he sees the ghost." So I don't want to I don't want to touch that with a 10-foot pole, basically.
Yeah, I think if they had, actually slept together, that would have changed that whole dynamic between Picard and Crusher. It just would have thrown it way, way out of whack, and then it would have been like this actual weird love triangle, and that just, I'm glad Patrick Stewart made that, put his foot down.
Well, I was when I was watching this time, we were just talking about how she seemed like very unconcerned with Mannheim, but even she also, there's these 6 scientists that all like perished horribly or something with some.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out what the deal was with that. I'm like, did they leave? Did they die horribly? What was it?
They died. She said that they died in an accident, and I'm like,
oh, did
and
they?
Then
Okay.
And as she was saying it sounded like they died fairly recently, like in the last month or 2 months or something. And I'm going, well, these 6 people are the people that she would have lived with for the last 2 years. And so 6 people you live with, they all died like a month ago or a couple of weeks ago or whatever it is. And you're just like, oh, by the way, the scientist died. And because this is like exposition for the plot. But I'm like, are you, what? You don't seem fazed by this, chain of events.
And at the end, he's like, oh, let's go back and start it up again. Let's keep doing our experiment.
I know.
Like we'll get some new staff. Yeah.
It was the 80s. There was less value for human life in the 80s.
Yeah. It was slightly better than the 60s because, in original Star Trek, people died. It was like, damn, another one's dead. And then they just go on with their day.
I have been on the other side. I have touched another dimension. Part of me is still there.
Help him.
Yeah, so it was interesting. There was like, so Mannheim done the bad, and he's talking about like, I touched another dimension. He's funny. I wonder if that's his real accent or he's doing like, I'm the scientist. I have a German accent.
Yeah.
Is it German? Was that supposed to be German? I couldn't tell.
I don't know. It was some sort of like European accent of some kind.
Generic European accent.
Well, his name is Mannheim. Mannheim is either Austrian or German, isn't it? That name? Mannheim is a city in Germany.
At the end. Yeah.
I guess so.
I'm Dr. Mannheim. I like space.
Ooh,
And
space, I
dimensions.
love it.
I like dimensions.
And when he was describing being that he was stuck half in one dimension and the other and all that sort of stuff, I mean, I don't think that actor is like amazing, but whenever he talks about being stuck between two dimensions, I'm like, whoa, that sounds like really painful and traumatic. But it also reminded me of Alternative Factor.
I know, that's what I thought of too, and I'm like, it just reminded me like the worst episode of the original series. Because that was so bad.
Yeah. So let's hear from everybody about like Dr. Mannheim and his performance and being stuck between two dimensions all together. Okay, Chiara.
I didn't like it. I thought it was corny. I just like the acting of just like I'm stuck between two of them. Like I was like, what does this mean though? What does this mean? I don't understand. Can you please give me more information and help me?
His mind is in one dimension, and the other part of his mind is here. I don't understand how that's possible, but yeah.
That's what I said. Yeah, it would have been nice if we had some visual context, and see what he was experiencing, like something weird and existential. And
yeah,
I don't know.
That's like an entirely different budget allocation.
I know
you
exactly.
put that in. You got to take out.
Okay. All you have to do is do like a rotating camera, negative.
Or just what they did. Not even necessarily a visual, but just like some more description of the experience. Like what does it mean that like half of your mind is elsewhere, but it's coming back, because obviously you can still communicate where before you were kind of incapacitated. So I'm assuming that's his mind being elsewhere. But
I didn't understand why he even had like these issues, like with the convulsing and the dual dimensions and stuff, but not his wife or not anybody else. Wasn't really clear on what exactly was happening.
She was in that little shelter.
He locked her away.
I do remember. Yeah,
too much scrolling, too much doom scrolling, Alan.
I know. Yeah. Now you mentioned it, I do remember the panic room that she got locked in.
Yeah, but like what panic room is going to protect her from disturbances in space?
I don't know. Just put some lead shielding in there, you'll be fine.
Yeah, exactly.
I can just imagine him being like, okay, you stay here. I'll be right back. It's okay.
It's fine. She got protected by an old refrigerator like Indiana Jones. Like, yeah, that'll protect you. Get this old refrigerator.
He's like, you'll be fine. There's coffee in the corner. There's maybe a little bed over here. There's some straw when you have to go number 1 or number 2. Just don't come out.
Yeah. I was like, yeah, these time distortions, they affect, all these other starships and planets, and all these reports are happening all over the sector. Yeah, but she's in some sort of special box. I don't know.
it's covered in lead. So it was funny because I wasn't going to mention anything, but it just so happens that the transporter chief in this episode, who's I feel like does a horrible job of acting. But
you almost didn't make it back. I almost killed you. It's a piece of work.
Yeah.
But he comes back in Icarus Factor in season 2. I don't remember him in that episode. But that's what I read.
I don't watch Icarus Factor very often because I find that one boring too.
He comes back as the transporter chief before O'Brien.
No, because O'Brien's in that episode, and O'Brien is the transporter chief as of episode 1 of season 2. So I don't know. He must just come back like as O'Brien's like I'm gonna say nephew. I mean, it's this.
Yeah, they're like, remember that time you almost killed half the crew? I think you need some retraining.
Yeah, you're gonna be with me now.
Exactly.
Yeah,
you're my assistant.
Okay, let's talk about the space lasers because I keep forgetting. Because I'm happy you brought it up, Chiara, but I keep forgetting that there's space lasers in this episode as well because there's space lasers in Home Soil, but in Home Soil it's like you see the little laser turret like aim at Data, but then you just hear it like it's like a cartoon, like you hear it happening behind the door, and it was like bing, ding, 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 and then they open, and it's just smoke everywhere, and the laser is dangling, so you don't actually get to see Data fight the laser, which is one of the disappointments out of many of that episode. But in this episode, you actually see. I forget that there's the laser fight or whatever, and you actually see him like do backflips and like. So I thought it was great.
Very exciting.
Yeah, because you woke that up. That woke you up, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Best part.
Well, that's what I told you earlier when I said like I could probably just skip all the boring parts and rewatch this episode in 10 minutes. It'd be basically that part. That's it.
Would it be the fencing, the fencing, and the lasers, and then the putting the antimatter in the
exactly. That's basically Just cut out all the rest, and we got some excitement.
Does anybody else have thoughts about space lasers?
I just don't know why it was there. Like what? I mean, I don't really understand why the lab had a laser. Like I get it in Home Soil because I just assumed the laser in Home Soil was like a mining thing.
It was a drill. Yeah, it was a drill.
Yeah, it was a drill, right? This is just like I don't do all labs come with lasers? I don't know.
It's the anti-theft.
Maybe it's standard.
He had those little canisters of antimatter there. You can't have people stealing antimatter, so you gotta have that stuff protected.
I guess, or he could just lock the door.
Well, they did have those like fluorescent tubes blocking people from getting in.
That's
that they just kind of slip through.
Yeah, he just kind of goes. Yeah.
Well,
it seems like a security system designed by a scientist. They're just like, I don't know, there's some lasers and some tubes in there. I have no idea. I got physics to do.
But it's a good point. I hadn't actually. I was always mesmerized by how cool the sequence was that I never kind of questioned why the lasers were there. Like there was some sort of because they mentioned like, oh, it's a security system, and when I'm like, okay, security system. But now I'm thinking, I'm like, oh yeah, it's not Ocean's 11. There isn't like $150 million from the Bellagio in there. Right?
That's exactly what I was thinking when Data was getting the little canister. Like because of the music, it literally felt like a bank heist scene to me, and I was like, "What is this?" It felt very off to me.
It's true. I hadn't thought of that, but I love it. But yeah,
I mean, it's great. Yeah, Data's like super limber. I don't know,
or his stunt double is anyway.
Yeah, the stunt double is incredibly. Like I think like cartwheeling across an open area to avoid a laser is probably not the most efficient thing to do. You probably just find some cover, like they teach you in the military.
I think they just had that there because they need 5 minutes of action. That's what.
Yeah, no, 100%.
It's totally. Yeah. It doesn't make any sense, but it's like it's there to wake people up who aren't digging the love triangle.
Yeah.
But the other thing I loved was the two things. I really love the set, and specifically in that scene, I realized there's a window, and outside the window is like the surface of the asteroid with outer space. So it's kind of like this moonscape, and I really dig that. I like those kind of dioramas when they do that. Mm-hmm. And then, as you mentioned, Alan, the fluorescent tubes that are like the force field, and then it occurred to me, I'm like, oh, those are the same fluorescent tubes that show up as a force field in Star Trek V, the Final Frontier, and when they put when Cybot puts Kirk and McCoy and Spock in the brig, and then they have these fluorescent tubes, and it occurred to me, oh, Herman Zimmerman was the production designer of season 1, and then he was the production designer of Star Trek V. So I'm curious if those fluorescent tubes are the same fluorescent tubes. Are they just like, we got these, can we put them in the movie? Or was it more a situation where he was like, oh, I did that for the TV show. Let's do one for the movie. So fluorescent tubes. Got anybody excited?
It's a good theory. It's a good theory.
Yeah, I mean, Star Trek V was just like totally like running on fumes with the budget, so they probably just grabbed whatever they could from this. It's like, oh, Next Generation's got some spare props we can borrow.
Yeah, because we were talking about when we did
Saving.
the review that the hallways and were just done on the Next Generation sets without even like changing the stickers or anything like that. So
Yeah. So I mean, I wonder if it was basically the same set. Like maybe they didn't even like take the tubes out. Maybe the doorway was exactly the same doorway.
well, it feels like the doorway in Star Trek V is a little bit wider, but I'd have to go back and actually watch it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not really sure.
Mm-hmm.
So here's my question about that scene too, with Data dropping the antimatter. I don't understand why the middle Data knows that he's the one that's in the right time period.
I know.
I don't. It just seems arbitrary. It's like, which one of us is in the time?
I think I know
me,
why.
I guess.
It's literally because the middle Data is the present Data, and then the first Data is the future Data, and the third Data is the past Data.
That makes
So the middle Data, yeah. So they're like, who can it possibly be? It's the present Data. He's the one in the middle.
It's the one using contractions. It's me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's. I think that's really what it was.
Sure, I'll buy that.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. Otherwise, it doesn't make any other
My
sense.
idea.
People are just running out of showtime, and it's like, we got to wrap this up. There's no time to have a deep discussion about who's who. It's like, it's just me.
Yeah.
It's me. Don't worry about it.
There's a 1 in 3 chance,
Yeah.
I love that scene so much. I love when the countdown is like 39, 29, 29, 29, 28, 28.
Yeah.
It reminds me when Frau, what's her name? From Austin Powers. And she's doing the countdown for the big rocket ship. She's like, 29, 28, 27. It was kind of like that. And then you just want Data to be like, okay, can we just get it to the end, please?
Yeah, I like that scene too. My favorite part is how when out of the Datas, the Data is like, it's me, is so excited that it's him. They're like, you're gonna be like, oh, it's me, pick me. Yeah.
I was like, I'm gonna save the day.
Yeah. Suck it, it's me.
Okay, so he fixes the universe. He patches it. It's not closed, whatever that means. And then Dr. Mannheim is totally fine. And then what I noticed in the scene at the end is how Dr. Crusher seems so happy that Dr. Mannheim is better. And I'm thinking, oh, she's happy because that means that the wife is going to take off with him. If he had died, then the wife is sad and she goes into Picard's arms. But if the Mannheim is fine, then they just like, oh, great, get them off the ship as quickly as possible.
I just imagine him dying on the table, and Crusher's like, "No, we're gonna use every resource at our disposal to bring this guy back. You want to live?"
29, 28, 27.
It's been 3 hours. Yeah.
I've only been there once, but they've got this great club. I don't remember the name of it. They serve those blue concoctions.
It's across the square from the Zanza Men's Dance Palace.
It's called the Blue Parrot Cafe. And you're buying.
Okay, so at the end of the episode, we have our other Casablanca reference, which is when they say the Blue Parrot Cafe. That's apparently from the movie. That's the bar they're going to. And it's so funny. It's one of those, again, we were just talking about that, how the endings always have to be like on the bridge in the first season, and you're like engaged and doing this whole thing, and it has a little Kunism at the end where they have to joke about.
Mm-hmm.
But I think, Namir, is it that basically what's inferred is that Troy went to a men's strip joint?
that was my impression. Like,
because she says, "Oh, it's the place that's in front of the Zanza Men's Dance Palace."
Yeah, exactly. Like that that was instant. She didn't even have to think about it. It just rolled right off her tongue.
Yeah.
You know, so you're like, yeah, you've been there lots of times.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have a running tab there.
Is this place in Montreal?
Riker dance there.
Riker dance, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about. Unless there's something else you guys want to talk about, we can do our ratings.
Well,
And our
I
final
did want to
thoughts.
mention one thing that I
Okay.
thought was really cool when Mannheim talks about like his experience in the different
Mm.
dimensions. He's
Mhm.
like, and then there was these beings, and then that was it. Like he doesn't mention them ever again. But you're like, oh, that's a really interesting kind of detail that they threw in there, right? They don't need to explain it. They don't need to expand on it. It doesn't become its own storyline. It's just like, like adding to the world a little bit, doing some world building with his experience. So I thought that was cool, right? Like it would be neat to see what those beings are like, interdimensional beings. But
I like to think that's the space koala from Lower Decks. When I heard that, I was like, I bet she's that koala bear.
I thought that koala bear is God.
Yeah, well, exactly. Yeah, you met the.
Well, that was my thought.
God.
My thought is maybe he's talking about God. Is what I thought.
Well, he didn't say being. He said beings. Well, maybe it's like, I don't know, multiple gods, like a Hindu god. Or maybe it's the Q continuum. Maybe he met the Q continuum. Is there?
Maybe.
Well, what I like about the first season is that they tend to they kind of got into this more metaphysical thing. There was a lot of throughout the episodes, especially with the Q character of like, that there's that humanity has a destiny, that their destiny is that one day they're going to become like Q, that that this is just like the beginning of humans like journey to like metaphysical transcendence or something like that. And so there was just that element that kind of, you see it again in where no one has gone before, and you kind of, they go to that dimension where it's like thought creates the reality, and he's talking about Wesley and all this, all this sort of stuff, and Wesley's destiny to become basically like a super being, And so anyways, they kind of dropped all that stuff in the later seasons, which is a little bit too bad, but I liked how so this is another example of it, I thought.
Yeah, I would agree. But in where no one has gone before, that wasn't another dimension, right? That was just like the edge of the universe, wasn't it?
Well, yeah, I guess so. I guess it was like very, 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 very far away, but it was almost like so far away, it was almost like another dimension, like kind of like I don't know. I think it was like it wasn't even a place anymore. It was like some other thing, I don't know. What do you? We can go back and watch the review. I don't know.
Who cares?
Yeah. Do you have any thoughts about this, Chiara?
Nope. Being, it can be ambiguous. I'm not prying on that topic. I'm fine with just saying there was stuff. That's fine.
There was stuff.
There was stuff.
What I imagine is those aliens from Time Zero. They got like a little mouth in their forehead, and they're like. Okay, let's do our ratings and our final impressions of this wonderful episode. We'll always have Paris. Let's start with Chiara. Oh, and it's a rating out of 10.
Right. Overall, I mean, it's a competent episode. It mostly makes sense despite it being fairly vague most of the time. I mean, there's no major plot holes, and there's the plot is okay. Like it's fine. It's fine. I give it a 5 on 10. I don't hate it. It's boring. I don't care to watch it ever again. But it's not the worst. It's not the worst. So it's very middle of the road. 5 on 10.
You're welcome, by the way. Alan.
Yeah, I gotta agree with Chiara there, because that's kind of how I feel about this episode too. It's like, it's not offensive. I say it's like it's perfectly fine. It's well written, like you say. It makes sense. which you can't say for some of the first season offerings. So, I think writing and story wise, it makes sense, but it's just not that exciting. Like you get that little bit of action at the end, and kind of the little science fiction gimmicks of the time hiccups or time farts, whatever you want to call them. And it's like that's fun. I just wish we had more of that, because that's what I like about Star Trek. Really, is like a lot of the space exploration stuff and how they react to these problems. When they get in this sort of like soap opera stuff, I'm not as engaged. The 12-year-old me didn't care for that, and 43-year-old me is like about it too. So, so I would give this one like I might give it a 6 out of 10. That's, that's probably as generous as I'll be.
Okay, Namir.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of like the episode, which is surprising to me. It doesn't feel like an episode that I would like, but there was enough in there that I found interesting. I like the science fiction elements. I didn't mind the sort of the love triangle ish thing that was happening, because it sort of gave you a window between into Picard's past life, and I like Michelle Phillips. I thought she was great. So overall, it was fine. Like it was definitely one of the better season one episodes. A lot of great little moments that I really enjoyed. So I would give it like a 7. I'm gonna give it a 7.
I'm going to give it a 9 because I love it that much. It's a 9.
It's not really a 9 though.
No.
Well, it is a 9 for me. It hits all the sweet spots. It's got like hull deck. It's got romance. It's got a love triangle. It's got some crazy time loop thing.
Love triangle.
Romance.
It's got like
nobody even kissed anybody in this.
It's got space lasers.
It does not have romance.
Held hands.
Yeah.
A hug? I don't even know if there's a hug.
And finally, there's like a metaphysical. There's a metaphysical. Level of the beings in the other dimension. So it kind of hits all the things for me. And also, I just realized it's not just one love triangle; it's 2 love triangles that makes a square, because it's a triangle between Mannheim, Picard, and Janice, but it's also a triangle between Janice, Crusher, and Picard.
Yeah, but then first of all, I love how we all just jumped on him immediately. Like that was amazing.
Yeah.
But also, like we keep saying love triangle, but it wasn't there. Like the third part of this love triangle is Mannheim,
no love.
who's there's no love, and Mannheim's like dead on the table, right? So it's like a I don't know what it is. It's like a love line, like there's no third point here. So
is there a love line even?
I don't. Maybe not. I really don't know.
They feel like more like 2 old friends than 2 old,
yeah,
romantic.
Yeah, it's like
partners.
not a love triangle. It's like a mutual friendship line based on respect.
It's all pretty dry.
Yeah, but it was okay. It was fine. I agree with Lucas for the most part. 9 is quite high. It's like really high.
9 is very high considering what comes later.
Exactly. The only reason I didn't go higher was because I knew there was stuff coming up where I was like, that's a 9.
To me,
that's a 10.
this episode is as good as those other 9s for the down.
Nah, that's not true. You don't believe that.
Did I even give a 9 in season 1? I don't think I did.
No.
I don't think
for
so.
Conspiracy, I don't think I did.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
I feel like 8 might be the best of it.
How could you have done given Conspiracy a rating, Alan, if we haven't rated it yet? If we haven't reviewed it yet?
Well, we'll just cut that out then. That's the magic of editing.
It's in the past, in the future. Is it the future, the past, or is it the present? I don't know.
It's a ratings.
That's a hiccup. Yeah, I just had deja vu that we'd already done Conspiracy.
It's a ratings time fart.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll be back next week with our review of Conspiracy, where we get to find out what's going on at Starfleet headquarters.
We could be in time loops right now, but we just aren't aware of it.
Yeah.
Just where in the future, the things we've done instead. Let's just press the button, we'd be better off dead. 'Cause all